I find the concept of sibilance pretty prudish, pretty spoilt, because sibilance is basically alliteration, but it gets its own name. The S, the repeated S sound, gets its own name. Who made that up? It must be pretty special. So I'm Gabs and I'm taking you through 12 tutorials that cover literary devices. This tutorial today focuses on sibilance, and this is tutorial 8. We're going to cover the definition of sibilance, we'll look at a few examples, and then I'm going to look at a quote that has sibilance in it and we'll unpack it exam style. What is the definition of sibilance? Okay, so it's the repetition of letters that create a soft hissing-like whisper or a soft hushing sound. Sibilance comes from the Latin word sibillare, meaning to whistle or to hiss. Sibilance can help immerse the reader in the text. Usually sibilance implies a mood that sounds threatening, cunning, sombre, sleepy, sensual, and mystical. Now we're going to look at some examples, but as I read through the quotes, I want you to get in touch with the feelings that come up, okay? Now, English literature is basically emotional intelligence. The more you can get in touch with your feelings, the better you're going to be at unpacking texts, at understanding texts, and actually the whole experience is going to become more joyful and enriching for you. Now, it might be hard to distinguish between types of emotions for sibilance. It's kind of easier for the other literary devices we've covered. And that's because I think it's something to do with the fact that the repeated S sound, when you make word associations in your head, you're like, yeah, but I only associate like a certain amount of words with the S sound, and that's fine. But I'm going to show you that the more you expand your vocabulary, that's a hurdle that you'll easily jump over. So let's have a look and see what I came up with. Just remember, after every single quote, just take a minute, 2 or 3 beats, inhale, exhale, and really focus on what comes up for you. Number 1. Silent and solemn, she sleeps. Number 2. Her sharp, stabbing words stole my breath. 3. Silky, supine bodies slink and soften. 4. A midsummer night's dream. 5. There's a strangeness to your scent. Now, it might be hard to distinguish between different types of emotions because everything is fueled by the sound of S. But if you really pay attention, there are so many emotions evoked by this one single letter. Focus on where the letter falls in the sentence. Is it the beginning, the middle, at the end? And how does this affect the emotion? Here are some things that came up for me. So for number 1, silent and solemn she sleeps, I wrote slumbersome and wary. You know, you can really hear the fatigue in the S sounds. Number 2, her sharp, stabbing words stole my breath. There's a sense of shock and suffering. And it's probably helped by the fact that the S sounds used are relating to sensation, painful sensations. Number 3, silky, supine bodies slink and soften. Again, there's S's all the way through this. It's very sensual and secretive. 4, A Midsummer Night's Dream. Now, I wanted to think of something famous for you guys, and of course, there's the Shakespeare play, A Midsummer Night's Dream. And if any of you've seen it, it's magical, very dreamlike. So mystical and magnetizing felt like appropriate descriptive words to use. And number 5, there's a strangeness to your scent. Notice the S at the end of there, and at the beginning of strange, and then at the beginning of scent, also at the end of strangeness, actually. It arouses confusion and suspicion. I'm going to take quote number 2 and unpack it further in an exam-style analysis. So, the writer uses sibilance in the lines, "Her sharp, stabbing words stole my breath." This evokes her painful emotions in reaction to the violent words spoken against her. They are so violent, they make her physically feel pain like the stabbing of a knife. This sibilance is visceral, shocking, and shows how badly the writer suffers. Okay, so some things I did well. I pinpoint sibilance. I pinpoint the literary device as soon as possible. I'm flagging it. I quote the words spoken, the words that contain the sibilance. Then I start to use my descriptive words to support my analysis. So painful, violent. I even compare it to the stabbing of a knife. So you're allowed, you're well within your right to go further with your imagination. The examiner will appreciate that as much as you can show your understanding to the examiner as possible. It's about making it super obvious to the examiner that you understand what the writer's trying to say. And the last line concludes the point. So it brings in the literary device again, it brings in some descriptive words, and it draws attention to the speaker, the writer, and their suffering. Final thoughts, there are 12 literary device lectures. This is just number 8, so subscribe if you want to get notified on my next upload. If you want to get your hands on this deck, head to Patreon and comment below. Tell me what you learn. I love to hear from you guys. And lastly, between videos, why not come say hi on Instagram? I think that is everything. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.